Yes, absolutely. And insofar as he does that, and he's got a resume that, while it lacks any election experience, is bar none, far and away the best resume, with the possible exception of a Thomas Mulcair, the best resume amongst them all.
Now, one thing too, and unfortunately, it's slipping my mind if it was top or not. But I was listening to their language, and at least a couple of them, it seemed like were willing to. It wasn't. They didn't pepper their speeches with it, but they were dropping in little wee usages of some of the language we're hearing in the Occupy movement. I know at least I think that Top might have been one, and I think that Nikki Ashton may have been the other.
The only
But
the
that
only
was
one I heard, I actually I missed those. If they made
well,
references to any of the lingo being used in the Occupy movement, I missed it. But I did hear Peggy Nash refer to the accumulation of wealth to the 1%, which is
maybe it
good.
was Peggy Nash then, and I
Yeah,
think one of them even went as far as talking about the 99, like just in passing, used the
yeah,
term the
yeah,
99%.
and it's good
Anyways, I didn't
because
mean to throw you off from where you were going. We were
yeah,
going down the line. So
right.
after Top, we had
We had Nathan Cullen.
right.
Yeah, he out of all of the candidates, he seemed very at ease. He seemed very natural, a warm personality, and he had a sense of humor, which is something that was utterly lacking in the rest of them. But then again, this is
Sense
the
of humor is a good thing.
yeah, no, it's if a part of a politician's job is to connect with people, you know,
Yeah,
it's pretty important. Like he's an engaging personality that really came through. Like I mean, in terms of what he had to say about his economic plan, mm, um, I got two words: trickle down economics.
well, and yeah,
Yeah, so I didn't really enjoy watching a NDP leadership candidate trotting out trickle down economics as part
and
of his plan. So
like
I mean,
you said earlier too, I guess part of the problem is if the subject matter is the economy, you've got to expect the way that the NDP candidates will be talking to their own party members about the economy, and the way hopefully they would have a different approach when they talk to the Canadian uh, voter in general, because you can assume certain things when you're talking to your own audience. You can't when you're talking to the entirety of the voting population. So I
yeah,
hope that that's one thing that the way that this debate unfolded. I hope that's not that these candidates don't expect that to the language that they use could necessarily be transferred right over to a campaign
well, yeah.
directed at
See,
voters.
you're right. They're right now. You'd think they're speaking to their base, and well, if the message is different for their base than it is for the rest of the party, then hopefully Canadians will hold them to that. But I mean, like, but you're right. They are speaking
Well,
to
I
an
don't
NDP
necessarily mean that the
audience.
message will be different. I just mean that the delivery has to be different to some extent, just because the language that they will use with the
Yeah,
understanding between party members and candidates within the party is going to be different than what the general public
yeah,
is going to already understand
yeah.
about the NDP.
If I had a top tier that I could define, Nathan Cullen would be in it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
so
wouldn't disagree with
yeah,
that.
and you know why? Because he's the only candidate that has openly embraced the idea of merging or a working relationship with the Liberals, which I think is absolutely crucial if the main goal in the next election is to unseat the Tories.
Right. I see, and my
It has to be.
position's a
It has
little
to be on the
different.
table.
I'm glad that there's a person that puts that on the table. I don't know if it's necessarily what I want, but
Yeah,
I don't think it should be something that should be completely taken off the table.
yeah. And from my perspective, I want it to be on the table. I don't know if I'm going to vote for Nathan Cullen as my vote for leader of this party yet. Simply because my motive for voting for him will be if I don't think that they have a legitimate shot at being useful in the next election. Now, given the way that
Yeah,
I
well,
don't think that the NDP has really run a very good leadership race, um, I may not think that this party is feasible. You know,
it's a long time off too
it's a
before
long
they
time
get.
off, but what we're seeing right now is I don't think that there's anyone that would disagree that they're not capturing any magic or reaching many Canadians with this leadership uh, race. You know, so hopefully they can turn it up. But I mean, if we get to leadership time and I don't see any signs of life from this party, I'm gonna vote for. I know I'm gonna vote for the guy. Um, who wants to merge with the Liberals. I really am.
That makes sense from your position for sure.
And
who's next after?
Next was Thomas Mulcair. He came up.
Yeah, we can move from a mustache to a beard.
What's that?
We can move from a mustache to a beard.
Yeah, true that.
Go from Jack Layton's mustache to a trust beard. It doesn't work as well as the trust dash, but.
Well, you know what? He's got a finely sculpted coif.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's like, a fiery speaker too, and he was the only one that I noticed that actually cut in on people when they were having discussions.
I think that I think that his coif is so finely sculpted that the only thing that could hold it down would be a trust beard. You know, it's the trust beard is on there to hold that coif down. Okay, you know, Thomas Mulcair won the debate in my opinion. I'll just come right out and say that. And you know what? I wouldn't mind taking a little bit of a musical break, and I'll come back and I'll discuss what I think about Thomas Mulcair in general and a couple things he did in the debate that really impressed me.
Sure, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, okay, cool. Just a moment here, and I'm going to cue up some tunes, and here we go with Small Sins, You Will Lie. Okay, we're back. That was The Small Sins with You Will Lie from Pot Calls Kettle Black album. Just came out. How's it going, Mike?
I'm good. You?
Not too bad. Okay, yeah, we were talking about Thomas Mulcair's performance. Um, he's the only candidate that said anything about an economic issue during the economics debate that even vaguely interested me. The rest was just all platitudes, and I'm not fully blaming the candidates for, because when you have a minute or 30 seconds to answer a complicated question, because there's 9 people on the stage, it's just the best you can do sometimes. Is just to throw out a few platitudes and hope for the best. You know what I mean? But there was one answer to one question that really actually blew me away, and it's something I've always been thinking about myself. But the question was, what would you do to help save the environment while growing jobs? Okay.
Yes.
And Thomas Mulcair's answer was fantastic. I'll play it for you, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about it after that.
Okay, sounds good.
Having been an environment minister for several years, I can tell you that the most important thing is rigorous enforcement of legislation. It's not so much that we're lacking rules and regulations in environment. We're often missing the political will to enforce the legislation. That's something that I developed a reputation for being very tough on, is enforcement. Biggest failing on the green economy is to apply the rules of sustainable development. The tar sands are being developed right now in a way that is destabilizing the Canadian economy. We've put all our eggs in the tar sands basket. It's hurting other sectors, in particular the manufacturing sector, where we've lost hundreds of thousands of good-paying jobs since the Conservatives came to power.
So, that to me was fantastic.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. What we have in Canada right now is thought of as a petrocurrency. The value of our currency is determined by, in large part, the value of oil, because we're producing so much of it in Alberta. We're in Durban right now, and Canada is taking a major hit from countries all around the world for its inaction in climate change.
Right.
We're gonna renege on our promises from Kyoto, and we're literally throwing a wrench in the gears of the rest of the countries of this world who want to do something about climate change. And so between us, India, China, the United States, you don't need any more cogs in the gears. There's just it's not possible to solve this problem if we're not going to cooperate. So, and again, it comes down to the tar sands. Okay, because the tar sands are being developed so quickly, and there's so much carbon emissions from that area, right? Mm-hmm. We're one of the main climate change effectors in the world. Per capita, our use of hydrocarbons is very close to the top of the list. I think we're number 12. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's 12. Or no, I think we're 17. I think the Americans are 12. But there's all kinds of little countries that are, like Qatar is number 1, so as if they don't really count. There are hardly any people there. But yeah, we're a major offender, just the long and the short of it. For Thomas Mulcair, though, to identify the fact that the rapid development of the tar sands is affecting the rest of the country's economy is spot on, because as our dollar appreciates, because we produce so much oil, our manufacturing jobs in Ontario suffer. So for a guy from the NDP to be campaigning about slowing down the tar sands as a job growth plan in Ontario, fantastic. He's not going to get many Alberta votes.
Great answer when you're considering both the economy and the environment.
He answered that question fantastic, and that's a 30-second answer.